तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ओम तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः। We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and today we have to read Appendix B in English page 1021. No date is given because it consists of Ashwini Kumar Datta's conversations with Thakur of 4 different dates. So, evidently the date is not mentioned, and the context is that Master Mahasaya has asked Ashwini Babu to write or tell about his reminiscences of Sri Ramakrishna, and that he has obliged now after 12 years. So, in the Gospel, Master Mahasaya has given up till now those things which on the same day have been recorded. But this Ashwini Babu has written after, at least after 12 years. So, more than that. And so it is in Appendix B. And the heading is a letter. A letter written by Ashwini Babu to Master Mahasaya. Now at this point, we must know about Ashwini Babu, because all these days we are fed by Master Mahasaya, and we know very well who Master Mahasaya was. But now Master Mahasaya himself has requested Ashwini Babu to tell about his reminiscences. So we must know about him. So I have got some information from the Wikipedia. Now, in the present Gospel, the footnote mentions that he is a saintly patriot. Now, the Wikipedia mentions him as educationist, philanthropist, social reformer, and patriot. They do not mention the saintly or the religious spiritual side of him. But in the books written by him, given in Wikipedia, he has written several books in Bengali. Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Prem, Durgotsava Tattva, Atma Pratishtha, Bharat Giti. So from the books, we understood that he was a deeply religious spiritual man. I remember here one small incident, may not be very important. Most revered Swami Yatishwarananji had written an article on education for being published in the Swami Vivekananda Centenary Memorial in 1963. And he had quoted several references there, and the editors had sent him back that please mention those references. He came to Nagpur. I was working in the library, so he gave it to me. If you can find out references, I will send this article, otherwise it will not be sent. And then he himself had told about one of the reference that this is from Ashwini Kumar Datta's Bhakti Yoga. That is what I remember. So, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Prem, Durgotsava Tattva, Atma Pratishta, Bharat Giti. Now in the Wikipedia, in his career, it is mentioned that he started as a teacher, then headmaster, then lawyer. And as lawyer, he earned lot of money and spent all of it in philanthropy. He established Brajmon School in the memory of his father. He was elected a delegate of the Indian National Congress in 1886. He established the district board in Barisal. He established the Bakarganj Hitaishini Sabha and a girls' school in the same year. He attended the third session of Indian National Congress. He was appointed Vice Chancellor, Vice Chairman of Barisal Municipality. He established the Brijmon College. He served as an honorary lecturer of English at the college for 25 years. He was appointed the chairman of Barisal Municipality. He was selected among the committee that was empowered to draw up a constitution of the Congress. And he found Swadesh Bandhav Samiti. And then it was banned by the British government. And they deported him to United Provinces, where he was put in jail in Lucknow. After his release, he concentrated on Brijmon School and Brijmon College, but he was forced to hand over the management of both to different trustees. Now, again attended Bombay session of Congress and undertook relief work after the Barisal cyclone. Now, one more point, that when the Congress was split in the mild and the strong, he acted for the reconciliation of both the units. So we find him on the other side. He joined the striking workers of Assam Bengal Railway and Steamer Company in protest against the atrocities on the workers of tea plantations of Assam. So this, in short, is Ashwini Kumar Datta. And he met Thakur on 5 occasions. 4 occasions, and on the 4th occasion, Thakur had told him to come to Rambabu's house in the evening, and he had gone there. So 5 occasions in all. Now the first occasion we come to my beloved brother M. So the relationship seems to be very thick, addressing him as Pranay Bhai, beloved brother M. 3 days ago, I received the 4th part of the Shri Shri Ramakrishna Kathamrut sent by you. That means we know that originally in Bengali, Master Mashai published it in 5 volumes. 4 volumes up to 1920 and the 5th volume in 1932. So it is about 1920, and he met Thakur in 1881. So 19 and 20, almost after 40 years, 39 years, that he has written down these things. And yet they are quite strong in his memory. Three days ago I received, and today I have finished reading it. So he has read it almost continuously in 3 days. You are blessed indeed. What heavenly nectar you have sprinkled all over the country. A long time ago, you wanted me to set down my conversations with the Master. Now I shall try to write them to you, for you. After reading those 4 volumes, he is tempted to write down. He sees that there is value in every conversation of Sri Ramakrishna. But I was not born under the lucky star of an M, that I might jot down the days, the date, and the hours of my visits with the Master and note down correctly all the words uttered by his holy lips. In this letter, I am giving you as many of my experiences as I remember, though they are quite strong. Very likely, I shall confuse the events of one day with another, and I have forgotten many things. We do not find that confusion in actually writing, and many things he might have forgotten, but what he has forgotten is very, very precious. What he has not forgotten is very, very precious. It was probably during the autumn holidays of 1881. In Bengal, around Navratri, a big holiday is given called the Puja holidays. That is what he mentions. That I met Sri Ramakrishna the first time. So he does not remember the exact date. I arrived at Dakshineshwar in a country boat, and going up the steps of the landing ghat, asked someone where the Paramahamsa was. There is a Paramahamsa, was the reply. A man was pointed out on the north veranda, which faces the garden. He was sitting reclining against a bolster. He wore a black bordered cloth. This is really very strange, very strange. Black is a symbolic in Bengal of a newly married son-in-law. And Thakur was putting like that. So for Thakur, nothing is prohibited, nothing is impossible. And according to his mood, he may put on anything because he is the Paramahansa. At the sight of the bolster and the black, no. At the sight of the bolster and the black bordered cloth, I said to myself, what kind of Paramahansa is this? Going nearer, I found him half leaning against the bolster, with his hands clasped around his drawn up knees. This is like a small child. You see, you visualize. He has raised his knees and he has clasped his hands like this. So this is almost small children like. Half leaning against the bolster with his hands clasped around his drawn up knees. Then I thought, evidently he is not used to pillows or bolsters as gentlemen are. So perhaps he is the Paramahansa. At his right, very near the pillow, sat a gentleman whose name I came to know was Rajendra Lal Mitra. We had read about him previously. Later, an assistant secretary to the government of Bengal. So high official. A little farther off sat some others. After a few moments, The master said to Rajendra Babu, see whether Keshav is coming. Evidently, Keshav Sen was expected that day. Someone walked away a few steps and coming back said, no, he isn't. After a brief interval, hearing a sound outside, he said, please look once more. Again, someone went out and came back with the same reply. Then Sri Ramakrishna laughed and said, quoting a popular saying, the leaves rustle outside, and Radha says, oh, here comes my sweetheart. So understood here? Black border clouds and all that is another thing. But he has equated himself with Radha, remember here. Some leaves fall and Radha thinks Krishna has come. So Radha's eagerness of Krishna, Krishna name is Keshav. Keshav Chandra Sen is Keshav. So identifying Keshav with Krishna and himself with Radha, Thakur is talking this. We shall see throughout. Our impression, my impression after these 4 conversations of Ashwini Babu was Thakur was a woman. We know in him there is a combination of a woman and man. And here, strongly, a woman comes out. Now he is hankering for Keshav to come like Radha. And we shall, as we proceed on, we will find that I will, in humor or in half seriousness, I will say, he is a supreme entertainer as a woman, supreme entertainer. When a man goes in the company of woman, she keeps him enthralled. He cannot think of anything else. But it is on the reverse side. When a woman enthralls a man, the man's mind goes down and down and down. Thakur as a woman, as goddess woman, as Radha, when she is attracting and enthralling men, their mind is rising up and up and up, diagonally opposite, but appearance is fully like a woman with tender heart. We saw now, just now, a child, tender heart. Continuing, he said, you see, Keshav always tantalizes me like this. It is his way. So, it is just like Radha telling about Krishna. At dusk, Keshav came with his party. Keshav bowed low before the master, touching the ground with his forehead. On the Keshav side, we will say, he is more than honoring Sri Ramakrishna. The master returned his salutation in the same manner. That was Thakur's habit. Shortly afterwards, Sri Ramakrishna said in a state of partial consciousness, so mind has gone high already. That is almost his natural, normal state. Look, he has brought the whole Calcutta crowd. I am supposed to deliver a lecture. I won't do anything of that sort. Do it yourself if you like. Lecturing is none of my business. Still in the ecstatic mood, he said with a divine smile. So this divine smile lingers in Ashwini Kumar's mind after 40, 50 years also. Clearly, the divine smile. So his smile is not like our smile. It is a God's smile. He has said, Sita has given her smile to me. So this is a divine smile. That is the impression carried by Ashwini Babu even after more than 40 years. Still in the ecstatic mood, he said with a divine smile, I shall eat, drink and be merry. I shall play and sleep, but I can't give lectures. So, in Bengali, there is a funnier expression that has been translated in a gentleman's language in English. If you read Bengali, translate literally, then I shall eat and be myself. I shall eat, sleep, and go to answer calls of nature. So these are the normal activities of a human being. So I shall be natural. That is why God is. He is not the position of a lecturer. He is natural. And in that natural, you may say womanhood, he is enthralling people's mind, catching them and raising them upwards. As Keshav Babu watched him, Keshav could understand this. He became overpowered with divine emotion. Every now and then he said, Ami, Ami. So Keshav is enchanted by this. He has seen Thakur many times and he knows him, how the mood is divine. I too watched the master and said to myself, can this be pretense? I had never seen anything like it before. And you know how deep my faith is. He compares his faith as not very deep. But so the doubt came. But he is surprised and enchanted. Coming back from Samadhi, the master said to Keshav, Keshav, once I went to your temple but he is very scathing in denunciation of hypocrisy. That is the lecture, without being asked, he has started. In the course of your preaching, I heard you say, we shall dive into the river of devotion and go straight to the ocean of Satchidananda. At once I looked up at the gallery where Keshav's wife and the other ladies were sitting and thought, then what will become of these ladies? You see, Keshav, you are householders. How can you reach the ocean of Satchidananda all at once? That means not that you cannot reach, but not all at once. You are like a mongoose with a brick tied to its tail. So the simile he gives is quite sarcastic. When something frightens it, it runs up the wall and sits in the niche. But how can it stay there any length of time? The brick pulls it down and it falls to the floor with a thud. Falls to the floor with a thud. You may practice a little meditation, but the weight of wife and children will pull you down. So facts of life have to be considered. You may dive into the river of devotion, but you must come up again. Again and again. Dive and come up. You will alternately dive and come up. How can you dive and disappear once for all? So fact of his life, he is attracted by his wife and children, is being shown. Keshav said, can't a householder ever succeed? Ever. What about Maharshi Devendranath Tagore? He was called Maharshi by Brahmo people and by people in general also. In the old age, he was living in a houseboat and doing sadhana. So that he is pointing out. But Thakur finds that he has lived his life and now he is doing that. So he points out what? Twice or thrice the master repeated softly, Devendranath Tagore, Devendra, Devendra, and bowed to him several times. So he has shown his respects. But how he has come there? Not immediately. Then he said, let me tell you a story. And that he tells allegorically. A man used to celebrate the Durga Puja at his house with great pomp. Goats were sacrificed from sunrise to sunset. But after a few years, the sacrifice was not so imposing. Then someone said to him, how is it, sir, that the sacrifice at your place has become such a tame affair? Don't you see, he said, my teeth are gone. My teeth are gone now. Devendra is now devoted to meditation and contemplation now. So, understood? He has enjoyed the world a lot. And now, because his teeth has gone, he cannot enjoy. So, in old age, he is thinking of God. It is only natural that he should be at his advanced age. But no doubt, he is a great man. But Thakur has already showed respect. Again, in words, he shows respect, that great man, because everybody does not do even this. And he has done it. After enjoying and after not being able to enjoy, that is all right. But he is now devoted fully to God. So that is a greatness. Thakur's evaluation is so exact spiritually. You see, as long as a man is under Maya spell, he is like a green coconut. When you scoop out the soft kernel from a green coconut, you cannot help scraping a little of the shell at the same time. So some sort of enjoyment also will come at that time. But in the case of a ripe and dry coconut, the shell and kernel are separated from each other in the old age. And when the mind is ripe, both together, when you shake the fruit, you can feel the kernel rattling inside. The man who is freed from Maya is like a ripe and dry coconut. Freed from Maya, not only old age, he feels the soul to be separated from the body. They are no longer connected with each other. So that may be Devendra's condition now. Anyway, it is the I that creates all the trouble. Now comes back to philosophy. Personal things are gone. Now it comes back to general philosophy. That is what he wants to show. It is the I that creates all the trouble. Won't this wretched ego ever leave a person? You see, a peepal tree growing from the rubbish of a tumble down house, you cut it down today, but tomorrow you find a new sprout shooting up. It is the same with the ego. You may wash 7 times, under similia, you may wash 7 times a cup that onions have been kept in, but the wretched smell never leaves it. So that is the householder's life who has enjoyed so much. So clear everything. In the course of the conversation, he said to Keshav, well, Keshav, I understand that your Calcutta Babus say that God does not exist. Now he's coming down on the so-called Nastikas. Out of ego, they say like that. Is that true? A Calcutta Babu wants to climb the stairs. He takes one step, but before taking the next, he cries out, oh, my side, and drops down unconscious. His relatives raise a hue and cry and send for a doctor. But before the doctor arrives, the man is very likely dead. And people of such stamina say there is no God. Who can say there is no God? Only man who has transcended the relative world. For him, there is no personal God, as Buddha said. But this stamina, who dies with a little effort, and he says there is no God. So, how poor and hypocritical is their condition? They do not understand what they talk. Very sharp in his analysis. After an hour or so, the kirtan began. What I saw then, I shall never forget, either in this life or in the lives to come. First time he's seeing that, huh? Everybody danced, Keshav included. The master was in the center. All danced round him in a circle. During the dancing, Sri Ramakrishna suddenly stood motionless, transfixed in samadhi. A long time passed this way. After hearing his words and seeing all this, I said to myself, yes, a Paramahamsa indeed. So that is his first visit. Another day, probably in 1883, after 2 years, And he does not remember, but probably in 1883, I visited the master with a few young men from Sri Rampur. Looking at them, he said, "Why have they come here?" Master, "To see you." Master, "What there to see in me? Why don't they look at the buildings and temples?" Master, "Sir, they haven't come to see those things. They have come to see you." Master, then there must be flints. That means there is some substance in them. There is fire in them. You may keep a flint under water 1,000 years, but the moment you strike it, sparks come up. So now it not be expressed, but it is there inside them, some substance value. They must be of that type, but it will be useless to try to strike fire out of. That is Thakur's humor, that from me nothing such will come. So at this last remark, we all laughed. We knew that this is only humor. But Thakur's natural modesty. I do not recall now what other things he said to us that day, so he has forgotten. But it seems to me he told us about the renunciation of woman and God, the constant theme must come out, and the impossibility of getting rid of the ego. So these two main principles, yes. So about second visit, only this much. I visited him another day. Here, date is not mentioned. But evidently, this is third visit. And this is very special because he was alone with Thakur that day. And we see here what I was telling. A woman supremely enthralling and entertaining a man and taking his mind higher and higher. But in such a natural way, he won't understand at all. I visited him another day. When I bowed down to him and took a seat, he said, "See how it starts, huh? Wonderful. Can you bring me some of that stuff? A little sour, a little sweet, that begins to fizz when you push down the cork?" Myself, lemonade. Master, why don't you bring a bottle for me? Straight away. No consideration of what he will think. You call him like a child or whatever. Or he, I would say, like a woman, he wants a man to serve her. I think I brought him a bottle. So far as I remember, I was alone with him that day. I asked him a few questions. Myself, do you observe caste? Now, for the non-Indian, they should understand. In India, caste was very rigid in Sri Ramakrishna's days, but the Brahmos, as social reformers, wanted to break that. This is the background. Master, how can I say yes? I ate curry at Keshav Sen's house. Keshav Sen belonged to quite a low caste, Vaidya caste as they call it. Let me tell you what once happened to me. I had curry at Keshav Sen's house. So how can I say observe caste? Keshav is not a Brahmin. Let me tell you what once happened to me. A man with a long beard brought some ice here. No, footnote says the reference seems to be to a Muslim man because they have long beard. But we are not sure about it, huh? Because among Thakur's disciples, Balram Babu had a very long beard. But it may be a Mohammedan because of Thakur's reference. Brought some ice here, but I didn't feel like eating it. A little later, someone brought me a piece of ice from the same man, and I ate it with great relish. So it depends upon the on a ordinary plane, he may observe caste. And on a spiritual height, all castes are same for him. That is what he is pointing out. You see, caste restrictions fall away of themselves when the mind rises in the spiritual scale. As coconut and palm trees grow up, the branches drop off of themselves. Caste conventions drop off like that when the spiritual evolution takes place. But don't tear them off as those fools do, meaning the Brahmas. Deliberately, forcefully, don't do that. When you grow spiritually, it will drop out. That is the beautiful way. Myself, what do you think of Kesha Babu? Master, oh, he is a saintly man. Myself. And Trilokya Babu, that musician. Master, a fine man. He sings very well. Myself. Shivnath Babu, Master, some drops are there. Something he has said. A very good man, but he argues. So, what is there? A very good man. Thakur honors him, respects him, loves him. We have seen that. But too much given to argument. But he argues. Myself, what is the difference between a Hindu and a Brahmo? Master, there is not much difference. In the serenade we have here, one flutist plays a single note right along, while another plays various melodies. The Brahmos play one note, as it were, they hold to the formless aspect of God. But the Hindus bring out different melodies, that is to say, they enjoy God in his various aspects. Straight away, this is the difference. Thakur's analysis. Otherwise, not much difference. The formless deity and God with form may be likened to water and ice. The water freezes into ice, the ice melts into water through the heat of jnana. Water takes the form of ice through the cooling influence of bhakti. It becomes sakar. The reality is one. People give it various names. Take the case of a lake with 4 landing. So, Sakar Nirake is explained. Now, between the different ideas of God, there is a harmony. That Thakur's constant theme, Thakur's mission. The reality is one. People give it various names. Take the case of a lake with 4 landing ghats on its 4 banks. People who draw water at one ghat call it jal, and those who draw it at the second ghat call it pani. At the third ghat, they call it water, and at the fourth, aqua. Thakur knew this aqua. Aqua is the scientific name given to water. But it is one and the same thing, water. I told the master that I had made Achalananda Tirtha Vadut of Barisal, of his district. Master, isn't that Ramkumar of Kotrain? He knew the person's original name. Myself, yes, sir. Master, how do you like him? Myself, very much. Master, well, whom do you like better, him or me? Thakur wants to see the spiritual appreciation. Myself, oh, can there be any comparison between you two? He is a scholar, an erudite person, but are you one? So he has become so free with Thakur in his meeting. That is Thakur's quality and Ashwini Babu's receptivity. Sri Ramakrishna was a little puzzled at my reply and became silent. A moment later I said, he may be a scholar, but you are full of fun. There is great fun in your company. This fun, let me check in Bengali. Majar lo, fun. Majar lo, a natural humorous man. Majar lo. আপনার কাছে মজা খুব In your company, we feel full with bliss. We feel entertained, we feel full of bliss. So that is the difference. That is the spiritual aspect of Thakur. He raises the mind and people become happy. At this, the master laughed and said, well said, right you are. So that is the difference. Thakur has understood that Ashwini Babu appreciated the spiritual joy and the capacity to give joy in Thakur. He asked me, have you seen my Panchavati? Myself. Yes, sir. He told me a little of what he had practiced there, his various religious austerities. He also told me about Nangta. So, see, after 40 years, all these memories are there. Then I asked him, how can I realize God? Straight question has come. Master, you see, he is constantly attracting us as a magnet attracts iron. But the iron cannot come to the magnet if it is covered with dirt. When the dirt is washed away, the iron is instantly drawn to the magnet. So that is the sadhana. Weep for God, and the tears will wash away the dirt from your mind. That is the way to realize God. Be eager, restless. As I was writing down his words, he remarked, he did not like. Master's case is separate. Look here, only repeating the word Siddhi will not produce intoxication. That means by writing down, you will read again. That will not do. You must actually get some hemp, rub it in water, and then drink this solution. So you have to absorb, experience, and then you will go to that state. Later he said, since you are going to lead a householder's life, create a roseate intoxication in your mind with the thought of God. Roseate intoxication means a slight intoxication, but intoxication. This is such a great thing, householders should follow. Their mind should always be elevated about the world. Maybe a little. I remember some big lecturer said, Thakur has said like that, do the people who read gospel, do we have? That is not correct. If you read even this gospel, your whole life is filled with roseate intoxication. And see, Ashwini Babu's case, after 43 years, he is filled with all those thoughts. So that is called the roseate intoxication. You are not fully intoxicated, you are not giving up the world. You are in the world doing your duties, but the mind is at least a little higher than the normal mind is. That is what the householder has to do to realize God. So please, everybody should feel that roseate. He must feel. Otherwise, if he forgets what he has read or what a Thakur has told, what is the use then? And this happens if we devotedly read the gospel. Later he said, since you are going to lead a householder's life, create a roseate intoxication in your mind with the thought of God. You will be doing your duties, but let that pleasant intoxication remain with you. You cannot, of course, like Shukadeva, be so inebriated with the thought of God that you will lie naked and unconscious. As long as you have to live in the world, give God the power of attorney, surrender. Make over all your responsibilities to Him. Let Him do as He likes. This is the way. This is the way. Live in the world like a maid servant in a rich man's house. She bathes her master's children, washes them, feeds them, and takes affectionate care of them in many ways. as if they were her own children. But in her heart, she knows very well that they do not belong to her. As if and knows. No sooner is she dismissed than all is over. She has no more relationship with the children. She may take that work in some other's house. Before breaking open the jackfruit, you should rub your hands with oil in order to protect them from the sticky juice. Likewise, protect yourself with the oil of devotion, then the world will not cling to you and you will not be affected by it. So earn some devotion and then live in the world. All this time, Sri Ramakrishna was seated on the floor. Now he got up and stretched himself on his cot. Most natural, most captivating. In a flow, the man is attracted, intoxicated, enchanted. He said to me, "Fan me a little." I began to fan him and he was silent. After a while he said, "Oh, it is so hot. Why don't you dip the fan in water?" "Ah," I said, "you have fancies too." The master smiled and drawled out, "And why not?" So the natural bliss of a spiritual man shows everywhere. He has no artificiality. Fantastic, fantastic. Very well, I said. Have your full measure of them. I cannot express in words how immensely I enjoyed his company that day. Where is that naked? Threw away the cloth and all that. Oh, next. Shall we continue? The last time I visited him, you have mentioned it in the third part of your book in Bengali, huh? Under May 23, 1885. But I will tell you some difference here. Ashwini Babu had gone to Dakshineshwar, and that thing is not in Master's record. Thakur told him that in the evening he will go to Ram Babu's house, you please come there. And he had gone there. And that portion is mentioned by Master Mashay under this date. So, date is same. But what Ashwini Babu had talked with Thakur and I saw him at Dakshineshwar is not included in that book. So, it is a very, very valuable contribution. The last time I visited him, you have mentioned. So 81, 83, some date, and 85. The last time I visited him, you have mentioned it in the third part of your book. I had with me the headmaster of our school who had just then graduated. You met him the other day. As soon as Sri Ramakrishna saw him, he asked me, "Where did you pick him up? He is a fine fellow." Then he continued, "You are a lawyer. You are very clever. Can you give me a little of your cleverness?" For living in the world, he can never have that. He had sufficiently shrewdness in the spiritual sense, but not in the worldly sense. The other day, your father came here and stayed 3 days. So even Ashwini's father was attracted to Thakur and stayed for 3 days at Dakshineshwar. Master, myself, how did you find him? Master, a nice man, but now and then he talks nonsense. Straight away, myself, please help him get over it when you see him next. At this, Sri Ramakrishna smiled a little. Accepted, you must say. Myself, please give us a few instructions. Master, do you know Hriday? I feel like stopping here. We shall enjoy this tomorrow. Let us keep it a little that cake to eat again tomorrow. Okay? We stop here. ओम तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्री रामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।